Hello everyone, I am Tianxin, a Reiki exorcist and healer. The term spirituality is probably familiar to everyone, frequently appearing in various popular cultures in recent years. Especially now in this era of spiritual awakening, people are beginning to pay attention to the mind and value the exploration of the spiritual realm. Spirituality is actually the fruit of spiritual practice. Spiritual practice involves metaphysics and higher dimensions. More accurately, it's about transcending dimensions to achieve immortality. However, since ancient times, true spiritual practice has had an extremely high threshold requiring specific opportunities. Therefore, few people know its essential core, and the term spiritual practice has been misunderstood by the public for many years, gradually becoming a religious or personalized, empty concept. Those who practiced in past lives may lose their memories in reincarnation, but the essence of the soul and the perception of energy remain unchanged. For example, someone working in the scientific field might have a natural interest in metaphysics and mysticism, yearning for the universe and the starry sky. A friend recently contacted me. He's studying mathematics at a top university. He said reading my articles deeply moved him. He said he's always been interested in the laws governing the universe and the society, wanting to explore the true meaning of the universe. He's loved astronomy and geography since childhood and enjoys seeing the world. The image shows a person who loves gazing at the starry sky. He feels that worldly matters have blinded him, preventing him from seeing the true nature of the world. He even wonders what the point of making a lot of money and living a wealthy life is. They are insignificant compared to the universe. This innate body language is spirituality, also known as innate wisdom. This friend has a high level of spirituality, meaning he cultivated himself well in his past life, which is why he sought out this person early on. However, the term spirituality has been overused. High spirituality often manifests in the following characteristics, applicable globally: interested in mysticism, metaphysics, and astronomy, enjoy exploring the mysteries of the universe and starry sky, sensitive to energy, with well-developed intuition, easily receiving non-material information, love nature, and easily empathize with it, sensitive, with a rich imagination and delicate emotions, interested in feng shui and geography, prefers solitude, even feeling somewhat out of place in the world, always feeling unfinished, anxious and uneasy, and crave wealth and luxury, not out of arrogance, but genuinely finding them meaningless, always feeling like they don't belong here, constantly searching for their way, but intuitively feeling that current religious and metaphysical practices are not the way. What I was looking for. A friend once told me that she had met countless metaphysical masters and witnessed their supernatural powers and all-seeing eyes, and some even enjoying global fame and widespread attention, with disciples all over the world. But she always felt something was off. Until she read my article, she instantly realized that this was what she was looking for. In fact, deep within her soul, she had recognized the true path, no matter how simple, inconspicuous, or unremarkable it might be, even if it contradicts the mainstream and is a path less traveled. But its simplicity, beneath the surface lies a radiance. There will always be discerning individuals who recognize its true value. The guidance of the soul transcends the logical thinking of the brain. Before you even begin to ponder, the heart has already provided the answer. Therefore, I often say, those who understand will naturally understand, and those destined to come will come. Thus, those with spirituality are suited for spiritual practice, for it is the path they have walked before, and the higher their spirituality, the better they can discern the true path. The character Ling in its traditional form, meaning spirit or shaman, is composed of two parts. The upper part signifies rainmaking, and the lower part, refers to a shaman who prays to the gods for rain. Together, they convey the idea of communication between heaven and humanity. The character Wu has a horizontal stroke at the top. The character for heaven, Tian, is composed of a horizontal line below representing earth, and a vertical line in the middle signifying the connection between heaven and earth. Those who could connect heaven and earth were called shamans. Wu, unlike today in the early stages of state formation, shamans, tanxi, who possessed the ability to communicate with heaven, earth, and ancestors were recognized as spokespeople. Therefore, their knowledge and power were often closely intertwined with political authority, and they themselves were often the core of power. Practices such as astronomical observation for calendar determination, sacrificial rain-making rituals, and divination using tortoise shells constituted the knowledge base and execution rituals for early state governance and major decisions directly related to the order and well-being of the community at this time. Spiritual communication carried more of a responsibility for the survival of the community than the satisfaction of individual desires or a means of showing off. But after the severing of the connection between heaven and earth, this true representative completely disappeared, and spiritual communication could only connect with demons and ghosts. Subsequent spiritual communication was essentially communication with the spirit world. Now, discussions of spiritual practice, especially in the West, often focus on developing intuition, such as opening the pineal gland, spiritual communication, and meditation to enhance perception, as if opening a door would allow one to glimpse another bizarre and wondrous world. However, this is extremely dangerous. This door was closed precisely to protect the human body. Opening it in this way, whether through opening the pineal gland or meditation, by forcibly engaging the senses and imposing experiences. For example, many people meditate as if they've ingested hallucinogenic mushrooms, seeing all sorts of fantastical images and believing they've connected to higher dimensions or entered a certain realm, leads to an increasing pursuit of these illusory superpsychological experiences. These experiences may bring extremely rich perceptions, such as an expansion of the consciousness territory, feeling infinite love attached in reality. They deplete one's vital energy and spirit, attracting interference from negative forces. Prolonged exposure can even lead to mental confusion, severely impacting daily life and inviting misfortune. Debunking this illusion is simple. Just ask yourself a few questions to examine the effectiveness of your so-called spiritual progress. Has the practice improved my quality of life in the secular sense? Has it brought peace of mind? Has it had a positive impact on my health and illness? Has it improved my relationship with all things? Overemphasizing extrasensory experiences, supernatural powers, and the exaggeration of the power of thought easily leads to falling into the devil's trap. Because we are beings of a three-dimensional world, supernatural powers, magic, and the ability to make wishes exist beyond the three dimensions. They belong to higher dimensions and are not something we should consider, much less possess as human beings. This goes against the laws of the universe and the natural order. As human beings, we should live our lives well. Instead of striving to cultivate our lives, we seek quick results, instant access to higher dimensions, and wish fulfillment through spiritual practices such as meditation, Akashic records, and channeling. It sounds tempting, but it's a huge trap because higher dimensional deities do not establish connections with humans. Why? Because without rules, there can be no order. Heaven, earth, and humanity. Humans cannot transcend the earth to connect with heaven. Only demons and ghosts can connect. Once a connection is established, the channel is opened, and it's difficult to close again. This is why spiritual disturbances are increasingly common today. The cost of spiritual communication is immense. It not only damages the body but also poisons the mind, causing personal tragedy and even affecting future generations. Those interested can search for stories about shamanic practitioners. Many people believe that spiritual practice should involve supernatural powers, as if enlightenment means flying and teleporting. Some even display so-called supernatural powers for purposes such as manipulation, control, and financial gain. In reality, these are all given by ghosts. Ghostly powers or demonic powers would be more appropriate. Even the Buddha, before his ascension, did not advocate spiritual practice aimed at achieving supernatural powers. He consistently emphasized through various lifestyles that he was human. He also needed to eat, drink, sleep, get sick, and experience betrayal. The misguided pursuit of supernatural powers, or the exaggeration of one's thoughts, distorts the cultivation of the mind. When people engage in spiritual practice, they easily fall into nihilism, escaping real-world responsibilities and making their lives worse. The true path of spiritual practice involves receiving enlightenment and then diligently walking the path, using special feng shui techniques to find auspicious locations and continuously enhance spiritual energy. It is practical and down to earth. Whether one can embark on this path depends on spirituality, but also on one's own choices. Those destined to come will come. The sooner the better. After all, the opportunity for spiritual ascension is extremely rare. It's not something you can achieve by sitting still, as some online sources claim. You must find the true path. It is the only way. Countless people have devoted lifetimes to this. Enduring countless hardships, many were reborn today for this great opportunity, but most have forgotten, which is truly regrettable. The seeds of this path have already been sown. Therefore, I urge those who have watched the video and felt something, especially those who feel lost, anxious, or are currently experiencing suffering, to take action. Don't miss this opportunity by simply observing and leaving only regret.